as a lot of people know, Battlefield 2042 launched recently, and it has been and remains buggy as fuck. They, I believe, have threatened to shut down the subreddit because it was getting so toxic. And when all the EA Battlefield devs got back from the holidays, I guess Andy, who is their social media guy, or whatever his title is, it looks like he's a social media guy, says, he got back to work today. I checked Reddit and Twitter, and Battlefield fans are pissed. We didn't do enough updates or communication during the holidays. Guys, people got to rest. We have things in motion, but we have to figure out what is possible. We will address it when we are 100%. Then he follows it up by saying, let us get back from break and get to work. Love you guys, but these expectations are brutal. These things you want take time to scope, design, and execute. And I don't have an opinion that, other than maybe social media for companies that literally are humans presenting as humans, may very well be a mistake. At least in gaming. It should be the Battlefield account should respond. Right? Because customers have a right to be upset. They spent money. They're upset with the game. They're upset with the quality of the fucking game. And I don't think EA or McNamara or any of these guys would say, no, they don't have a right to be upset. And I think it's a little weird to be like, I love you guys, but these expectations are brutal. It's like, you're not pals. Maybe that's why it gets muddied. The water gets muddied because Andy, I don't follow this channel, but I assume Andy, like most social media people, joke with the fans and, you know, make them feel included and part of the team and, you know, all the, you know, in some ways. And a lot of fans eat that up and believe that. And then when they demand things, it's like, oh, these expectations are brutal. It's not a healthy relationship for either group to have, I think. I think game social media accounts really need to be run anonymously as just a corporate logo, and they should still, you know, be fun and all that if they can. But I don't think this is healthy, and I don't think you're going to stop the customers from complaining, and you're not going to stop the team from going online and reading about it. But it's just, I don't know. I did not like Andy's response to this. I love you guys, but these expectations are brutal. I absolutely know, as someone who's developed games, what he is talking about. Your goodwill that you've built up with social media only goes so far, and then you have to remember that people spent fucking money. And they're not really your friends if that's the only engagement you've had with them. And they spent real money on your product, and you're no longer talking to somebody in a fun way on Twitter. You're talking to your customers at that point. And Andy's not an idiot. He knows this. But the expectations are brutal. Just ignore the emotional part. Take the emotional part out of it. And just be like, we're getting back to work. We have a list. We'll get back to you guys in 2 weeks and we'll tell you where things are at. But the brutal part and him letting his feelings kind of get reflected and we're frustrated with you guys, I just think I don't think that was good. Now, I could never do his job. You guys know me. I'd be fired day one. I'd be like, go fuck yourself, motherfucker. But that's why no one would ever hire me for a social media job, and they shouldn't. DDP says Battlefield was a $70 online-only game and it was a mess. Absolutely. Absolutely. And let me tell you something else about that. Fans are idiots. That's the truth. If you're a fucking fan of EA and you bought this game day one and you're upset, you have a right to be upset. You have a right to demand your money back. You have a right to shout from the rooftops. What you don't have a right to do is be surprised. Because this is kind of what they do. Right? I mean, they did it on Sim City was the first one I remember, and they just ad nauseum. They'll put out service-based games. They don't work. I honestly don't see why creators insist on having social media. They don't insist on it. Most criticism people will have for you comes from people who have less knowledge than you. Well, look, I always liked, when I was making games, the connection, because I could handle a lot of the negativity, because I wanted the diamond that was buried in that shit sandwich of negativity. You go, oh, that's a good point this guy brings up. But I think when you're out there tweeting as a social media guy and you're like, kind of like, we have to take a break, you know, don't try to explain anything. And I'm not saying Andy's wrong. If you were sitting at a bar with someone, you could explain it. Just like I made a video the other day or yesterday about Twisted Metal 2012 and explained, well, here's why you may not know this was buggy or that was buggy. But no one cares about your fucking life story. Nobody cares if you're taking a break. You know who is also taking a break? The people on vacation that bought Battlefield 2042 and spent $70 and were hoping to play with their buddies all across the world the day the game launched, all over Christmas break. And now they don't, and they can't. Bottom line, people don't care, work harder, says Joker. Yeah, I mean, it's not their job to care. Unless you're going to basically say, okay, you get the game for free. People like Barlog, who can tweet about anything and still seem mentally healthy while being in a year-long crunch, aren't an exception to the rule. I don't think you can speak to anybody's mental health. I think that is a absolute fallacy. I will show you exactly what I mean. Twitter served this up to me today. It's about an interview I had at PAX about Twisted Metal 2012. When I look back at this time, when I was this guy, giving a lot of interviews, signing autographs, using social media to pimp out the products and stuff, I kind of cringe when I look back at it now, because I look back at it now and I say, it's not a healthy relationship. It's not a healthy relationship to make people wait an hour and a half for an autograph and to talk to them, and they get all giddy because they're talking to you. It doesn't do your own, meaning me, mental health good, and it's not good for these guys. You know, it's just there's something about when you talk about Corey's mental state that, I mean, Corey may have been able to handle it better than I did, but I look back at it now and I just say, I enjoyed a lot of the work and I enjoyed meeting a lot of people who love our games, but I don't like that relationship existing in our society. I think it's unhealthy and it's damaging. And so if Corey has been able to navigate it, I think that's great. But the older I get, the more I start to think the art form would be better off if we just kind of remove the developers as individuals from people's minds. When I go to Disneyland and ride a ride, I'm not thinking about who made it. I'm just fucking riding the goddamn thing. Cannibal, are you there?
I wanted to talk about Dan McNamara's stuff, number one. And I always remember how No Man's Sky and Sean Murray and the Hello Game guys handled all of that criticism. What they did was said, okay, we're going to work on it, went radio silent, came back roaring. And I think that's the blueprint to handle these types of reactions. Just ignore it and do the best work that you can ever do, and then come back. And if the fans take it, they take it. If they don't, that's it. And I think that's the relationship that should be the going back and forward. At the end of the day, they don't owe us anything, and that's the
okay. Hang on. They do owe us a product that works as they advertised. And if they can't provide that, they owe us a refund if you ask for it. But short of that, you're right. They don't, a good corporation will walk that line between going, look, we're not robots, we're people behind the scenes, but we're not your friends. And it's not because we're assholes and we don't like you, but it's because that kind of relationship can easily turn toxic.
It will turn toxic. It's like there are, out of the 100 individuals, there are going to be 5 that are going to be obnoxious, rude. They're going to throw threats that shouldn't be even said. And it's an entertainment industry, and that shouldn't be hurled at these individuals who are literally crunching their way through, feeling way they through in the dark to create some form of art that increases the adrenaline level in a player. That's all it is, isn't it? It's like the endorphins and the adrenaline level needs to be increased through game design and art. And if it doesn't deliver that, if it delivers anger, they lash back out. And through that lashing, people get hurt. And it shouldn't be like that.
I agree, it should not be like that. What I think, though, is the companies should communicate, but the companies also need to be able to be, or at least the console manufacturers need to be giving refunds easier, because then it's just like, oh, you didn't like it, I'm sorry, here's your money back. That that seems respectful both ways. But if you give people money and they won't give it back to you. And then they have the gall to say, hey, take it easy on us. We were on break. It's like, fuck you. What do I care about your fucking break? I was on break too. I had 2 weeks at home with my kid. And now he's back in school. We were going to play the fuck out of Battlefield together. Guess we're not now. Hope you enjoyed your break and my $70 that I can't get back. That I don't go for. That I think's a problem. And I don't think that's entitled gamers. I think that's the refund policy needs to be easier.